You should make sure that everyone can do this exercise. At least, draw the Laurent curve, calculate the Gini coefficient, calculate the personal income tax for permanent income. For non-permanent income, it's very easy, 10% for the whole value. But for non-permanent income, for permanent income, such as salary, okay, you can calculate the tax per part of income and do the sum. Okay, so did you finish the exercise? Or you need 5 minutes more? Not yet? Not yet, so let's continue to finish. I repeat that if you would like to get at least B score, okay, you must find out the correct answer to this question by yourself. It's not by your friend or the neighbor, no. It's by yourself.
Phía trước. Cộng 2 lần thì này đã như vậy đâu. 2 lần là có kỳ này là trong kỳ 7 kỳ 8. Nhiều con như vậy.
Okay, so tell me that all of you have finished this exercise. Yeah, I hope so, because if someone among you, if you did not do it, you cannot finish. Okay, if you did not start, you cannot finish. And if you start and you cannot finish, it's your problem, because there is enough time for you. The time allocation, the time needed for this type of exercise is around 25 minutes, less than 25 minutes, because there are other questions, okay, to do in the set of exam question. The part of QMC or two-fold question, and another part of small, very short essay, write about something. Okay, so the total time for your final exam is about 60 minutes. Okay, so maximum you take 25 minutes for any exercise of 4 questions and illustrations, of course. Okay, there are 4 questions normally, and maybe a graph of illustration. In any case, even market failure, even the equity distraction, okay, there should be some graph of illustration. So 25 minutes, no more than 25 minutes. And in this case, if you have a build, if you have a build the table before, okay, the table that you sort the income, okay, the household people by income, ascending, the sort ascending, okay. So you could also, draw some more column to calculate the tax, okay, the tax for the people with the same level of income in the same table of database, and by this way maybe this will be faster for you when you calculate, or by the normal way you calculate, okay, the tax, income tax according to the tax law simply in this question, or you could combine in the question that you illustrate by the the table of database. Okay, there could be the table of database here. You introduce some more table as I advise you. Okay, so the next chapter is about poverty. As I have told you that the last exercise, okay, there was anything yet in the poverty, but maybe in the next future, okay, to be some more question, okay, that could replace to some question in the last exercise, okay, in the final exam, that related to the poverty measurement or some critical thinking question about the poverty and inequality. So poverty is lacking of everything. One of the easiest way, okay, to see someone is poor, that means lack of income. Okay, the most popular way to say that someone is poor is to compare his or her income with specific level of income that we call poverty line. Okay, that means to be considered as poor, the income of related people is not necessarily equal than 0. Maybe that is higher than 0, but that is lower than, okay, specific level of income that we call poverty line, ngưỡng nghèo. Okay, this someone is poor. That is the most popular way to assess whether someone is poor or not poor. In some specific, way to consider poor or non-poor, someone lacking of drinking water could be considered as poor. Lack of access to healthcare could be considered as poor. Even lack of protection against adverse shock could be considered as poor. So the poverty is the situation of vulnerability, that vulnerability, dễ bị tổn thương, okay, by any way, lacking of anything. And in this case, I return to say that, okay, normally people refer to the personal income, okay, to say that someone is poor or non-poor. The poverty has a nationality characteristic. Nationality characteristic, that means the poor in the rich countries could be richer than the poor in the poor countries. Okay, the poor in the rich country could be richer than the poor in the poor countries. I repeat that. Okay, in this way, a homeless in UK look, be richer than a poor in developing countries, especially the poor in less than developed countries. In Africa, you can see that more than 30 years ago, this photo got the Pulitzer Prize, because you can see that there are two, one people, okay, children and on birth, the voter, and in this case, the bird is waiting for a meal, okay. So that shows the poverty situation in Africa, in West Africa. So measuring poverty, firstly we must have something that we call the poverty line. Okay, poverty line here, and the poverty line by illustration there. You can see that income of individual must be higher or equal than poverty line to escape from the poverty. So below poverty line here, okay, below poverty line, they are poor. Okay, they are poor. From poverty line, non-poor. And poverty line is a specific level of income. Okay. So supporting that, we have the hypothesis about poverty line in your exercise, for example. Okay. So one of the questions asking you to calculate, headcount index. Headcount index, you must count the number of poor. Count the number of poor, then you divide it to the total population. Okay, you got headcount index. And from headcount index, n divided by n is the total population. Okay, you multiply with 100%, we got the poverty ratio. Tỷ lệ nghèo đói. Okay, chỉ số đếm đầu, the term economics textbook. Okay, the poverty ratio in the headcount index multiplied with 100%. Okay. You know that current international poverty line is 6.85 US dollar per day. In the past, a long time ago, the last value was, 1 US dollar per day, 2 US dollar per day, 2.5 US dollar per day, and nowadays it's come to 6.85 US dollar per day. But adjustment to local condition can lead to a different number. That means in each countries or region, maybe they could build their private or their national poverty line. Okay, each country has its own national poverty line normally. And international poverty line here normally is applied in some World Bank program or project, okay, in developing countries or in less than developed countries in their project, say in international project. And by looking at the poverty ratio, for example, or headcount index, we can see the general situation of poverty in each country, of course, but it's not clear enough. For example, you know that the poverty ratio in Vietnam is 13%, something around 13%, okay, and the poverty ratio in China is 15%. We can say that the poverty situation in China is worse than in Vietnam. No, we cannot say that, okay, because that the poverty line in China could be different than the poverty line in Vietnam, okay, and even the situation of poverty in China could be totally different than situation of poverty in Vietnam. We cannot compare, but we could have the general view about the poverty with the headcount index or poverty ratio. We need some other poverty measurement, to have the more exact assessment about the poverty situation in each country. Here we talk about the poverty gap, like another measurement. You can see that why that is useful, this poverty gap. Supposing that there are two countries in this slide, okay, illustration by, you can see that income distribution, okay, income distribution, and by which, what will be the same thing in these two countries. You can see that the poverty line, the same value, okay, at V. The poverty line, okay, in two countries are the same. The second, the poverty ratio, okay, of these two countries are the same. 50%, okay, of poor in each country. Half of population are poor in each country. Okay, when we look at the distribution of income in each country, okay, 50% of population live under the poverty line. Okay, here is also the same situation. 50% of population, okay, with income lower than poverty line. Okay, and other 50% with income higher than poverty line, the same situation than in other countries. Okay, so but what is the poverty gap here? Poverty gap refer to the, you know, that the gap between the poverty line, okay, value of poverty line and the value of income of poor family. That means if we talk about the formula here, that means TPG, T that means total, okay, total poverty gap. You can see that here YI is the income of the, you know, the poor family. YP is the income at poverty line. Okay, so by this formula we can see that for specific poor family, okay, they need how much of income to become non-poor, the beginning. Okay, for specific poor family, okay, it need how much of money to become non-poor. Here you compare with the poverty line. When the income of the poor reach poverty line, it become non-poor. Okay, so minimum budget, okay, need to make this poor family non-poor. Minimum, okay, to reach poverty line. So here, the minimum state budget needed, okay, to eliminate the poverty. Minimum value of money, okay, needed to eliminate the poverty situation in the countries. Okay, if you don't understand this, you know, arguments, please tell me, because that is quite important. I mean that when we calculate, okay, the poverty gap for each poor, okay, for each poor household or individual in the economy, is this, okay, formula. We take the income at the poverty line minus to income of the poor. Okay, that means the poor need at least this value of income to become non-poor. Okay, and from the whole society, the whole countries, for example, okay, the whole population sample, that means TPG, we do the sum, and Y here coming from 1 to 8. That means we consider the assembly of the poor only. Okay, because if I is the rich, it's not the case. Okay, here I should be the poor, so that we can see that the short needs, okay, the minimum budget, minimum money needed, okay, to make him not poor. Okay, so why I must ask you whether you understand this argument or not, because that could relate to another, additional question, okay, in your last exercise. Before that, you haven't done before. The question is, I repeat that, where the tax collected or the budget collected from the tax, okay, is enough to eliminate the poverty situation. So you must compare the tax collected, okay, from the last question, question D, okay, with this value of TPG. Okay, and normally it should be, tax should be higher than the TPG. Okay, so that the government, the money collected, okay, from the tax by the government could be enough, okay, to redistribute to the poor, okay, to subsidize to the poor here, eliminate the poverty, and make every poor at least, okay, reach the poverty line. Okay. In the reality, someone in the economy could have an income, okay, very close to the poverty line. Okay, very close to poverty line, approximately poor. Okay, and in the reality, even income at poverty line, someone with income equal than poverty line is not poor. I can say that, okay, by the meaning. But in the fact, these kind of people could also get some special treatment of the government, okay, but differently than the poor, real poor, okay, in the realities, of course. So the formula you can see, okay, and by this way, look at the illustration. We can see that the poverty gap of country A, okay, is bigger than poverty gap of country B. That means the situation of poverty in country A is worse than the situation of poverty in country B. Okay, when we compare the TPG between two countries. From this formula, we can do some modification to get some other formula. For example, APG. Average poverty gap, okay. Average poverty gap, you take a TPG divided by 8, so you got the average value of money, average necessary money, okay, for each poor family to be non-poor. Another modification, and we could get the NPG. NPG is a normalized poverty gap. Khoản nghèo tiêu chuẩn, term is okay. We take the TPG divide by products of and here total population and YP, okay, the poverty line. And you can understand that before we will take the here APG, but APG modified, okay, APG modified divided by YP. Why is a modified APG? Because normally with APG should be divided by 8. Okay, the normal APG is TPG divided by 8, but modified APG, that means APG divided by N, total population. Okay, then we take APG divided by YP, and that always is give a value between 0 and 1. This value of APG from perfect poverty and no poverty, okay, in the countries in the population sample. If you learn development economics before, now it's not yet the term, but let me tell you about the very popular measurement. Here, named Foster Grant measurement. Foster Grant measurement. Is it complicated? No, it's not complicated at all, because you can see that there is only YP and YI only. Okay? The presence of YP and YI in this formula, the complication is that we must make attention with the value of alpha here. If alpha equals than 0, okay? If alpha equals than 0, what happens to the formula? We can get some specific formula, If alpha equals than 0, what happens to the formula? We can get something. We get the value of, A divided by N. Okay, headcount index 0. That means, 1 times 8. Okay, that means 8 divided by N. Headcount index. Okay, no problem. Okay, if alpha equals than 1, we got the normalized poverty gap according to the last formula. But please do not care about these two first situation. you should take care with the last situation of alpha equal than 2 here. If alpha equal than 2, you get a measurement that is extremely sensitive to the depth and severity of poverty. In English, that is square poverty gap, SPG, square poverty gap when alpha equal than 2. Okay, and in Vietnamese that means bình phương khoảng nghèo, bình phương khoảng nghèo, square poverty gap. Okay, and the meaning you can see that here. Imagine that YP is lower and lower when the poor people is worse and worse. Okay, so the gap is bigger and bigger, and you take the square. Okay, so that makes the power more stronger with the square like that. Okay, and the square poverty gap in the reality for a lot of students. Normally, someone with score lower than B, okay, with this very, normal mistake for them. Someone with score lower than B. When I ask you to calculate square poverty gap, okay, the student will very quickly take TPG and multiply with TPG. Okay, it's wrong. It's wrong. SPG, according to the question, okay, and to the formula, you must take the first graphic measurement and with the value alpha equal than 2. Okay, that is the correct way. The correct way. And a lot of people, I repeat that, okay, with the score lower than B, of course, we lose point because of this kind of very normal mistake. Okay, take TPG, multiply with TPG. Even I tell you many times, okay, by the end of the class, I'm sure that there should be someone who will get always this kind of mistake. Okay, if the question is calculate the SPG, S square poverty gap, square, so think that TPG that means poverty gap, multiply TPG again, so that means square. Okay, but it's not the case because according to the definition, SPG in this case. Okay. The first graphic measurement is a very general form of poverty measure that satisfies anonymity. Anonymity, the imposing. No person is worth more than another. We show only the income, okay, of each people. The population scale independence, that means larger population doesn't change it. Secondary variables, that means the other variable doesn't change. Okay. Monotonicity, that means when you make a person richer, one decrease the index. The richer, one decrease the index. But if you take income away from a poor, that means make a poor poorer, okay, will make the poverty index worse. The richer, no problem, but the poor poorer, okay, you make the index worse because that related, okay, directly to the poor. Income of the poor, okay, from this formula. Something to be discussed more, measuring absolute poverty. Absolute poverty refer to the minimum. Oh, sorry. Kỳ qua gọi sếp gọi về họp nhưng mà lát nữa. Okay, so the first problem, you know that I'm talking about absolute poverty. Okay, absolute poverty that related to the story of poverty line, absolute poverty line. Someone, okay, with income, the value of poverty line, I mean international poverty line, is according to the definition of absolute poverty. The minimum, okay, income needed to each people to survive. Minimum, okay, that people need to survive. That means okay, absolute, and someone with income lower than this level of income is living in absolute poverty, là nghèo tuyệt đối. Okay, but in some other situation, you can see that countries view the national poverty line by which that is not absolute poverty. It's not absolute poverty line, because in case that country builds up the national poverty line, normally they base on the politician based on the average level of income of each country, of these countries. Normally, it's not the minimum value of income that someone need to survive. Okay, in this case, normally that is built up for less than developed countries and some poor countries in developing countries in the developing world. And you see that here is 3.85 a day too low, or even 6.85 a day too low, up to the situation. And you know that, as I have mentioned before, from 2000, the international poverty line was $1 per person per day, and that has been increased by 1.5 to 2.5, and until now, you know that with recent number of poverty line by World Bank is 6.85, and the problem is that the last value of poverty line is 3.85, that has been increased to 6.85. Okay, and the problem is that a lot of people live between 3.85 a day and 6.85 a day. That means when we increase and we apply this poverty line, when we apply the new poverty line, the number of poor, very high, very big. Okay, but we take the last poverty line, like the measurement. Okay, the number of poor, fold. Okay, that is not much. Okay, not many poor with this low poverty line, this O and low poverty line. But when the poverty line increased to 6.85, that is the new value, the number of poor increased too much. Okay, that is the problem. And the problem means that unless, even if there are many programs of poverty reduction in the world, many by NGO, by national organization, but the poverty situation in the world, is not, improved too much. Because that there are a lot of African countries, you can see that is the only way, a lot of poor. And even in these countries, we cannot apply 3.85 like the poverty line. We should return to 2 or 2.5, or even some specific countries, if we take the very old value of $1 per person per day, it could be acceptable. That means that will be always the poor, with the lowest level, the oldest level of poverty line, $1 per person per day. There's still being a lot of poor. That means a lot of people living under, $1 per person per day in less than different countries, in the poorest countries in the world. So you can see that something here, the value is complicated, is not complicated. You can check in the World Bank database, lot of database. For example, here you can see that the value, of poverty line by 2.15, value of poverty line by 3.65, and the value of poverty line at 6.85. And the head count ratio, that means head count ratio then poverty ratio. The poverty ratio in look at some specific countries. For example, you see that in East Asia and Pacific, for example, okay, in Asia and Pacific, if we take 2.15, okay, 2.15, the poverty ratio is only 1.2% with low level of poverty line. But when we increase to 6.85, that means the newest, okay, poverty line, that become, 32.1% of total population in East Asia and Pacific are poor. Okay? And look at the other region, such as, South Asia. South Asia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, for example, you can see that the value is 82.3% of population in, South Asia are poor with this poverty line. Okay, so if we keep the old value of poverty line in 2.15 only, so 8.6% of population are poor only with the lower poverty line. And you can see that with some high income countries, for example in Europe and Central Asia, okay, high income 2.3 and comparing with 15 only, poor, 50% are poor. Okay, the other high income different than Europe and Central Asia. Yes, other high income, you can see that 1.3% are poor only with the 6.85 US dollar per person per day, like the new poverty line. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to analyze the database about the poverty in the world, and we can see that basing on specific value of international poverty line, we can see different situation of poverty. Okay, and I would like to say that normally each country has its own national poverty line in their independent report. Poverty headcount ratio, you can see that with Vietnam, a lot of countries here, okay, and you can see that Vietnam in 2020, if we take the value of 6.85, okay, 6.85 US dollar per day, per person per day, the poverty headcount ratio in Vietnam is 18.7%, okay, 18.7%. And if we take the poverty line is 3.65, the value is only 3.8%. That is the newest database in the World Bank, okay, set of database. And of course, you could check a lot of indicators about economic development, about environment, about the something relating the production, okay, politics measurement, for example, in the World Bank database. Okay. In the next future, if someone among you would like to write about something, especially the environmental topic, okay, you could check the website, okay, of World Bank database and find out a lot of database to even to become the panel, okay, you do the regression by panel and you could write out thesis, okay, graduate thesis, or scientific research or even paper. Okay. Another problem in when we measure absolute poverty, 15 US dollar per day, okay, could make someone poor in rich countries, but 15 US dollar per day could make someone rich in poor countries. Okay, so that could be the problem. Even the same value of money, okay, but in each country that could be different. That means poverty has the national characteristic. Okay. If we take the absolute poverty line of World Bank in some specific program that never ever happened in rich countries, normally there is no poor. Okay, even less than 1% of poor of people living under the poverty line given by World Bank, especially okay with the low value the old and low value of poverty line given by World Bank. Okay, so if we take these value, some rich countries there's no poor. Okay, but in the reality, every country has poverty situation because they has built the national poverty line by themselves. And another thing that could take your attention here, how about using income rather than consumption? Income rather than consumption and national account rather than survey. So what does that mean in this argument? You can see that. Let me tell you, if you do the survey, okay, about the income of people, normally you can see that for the poor people, there is not much differences between the database of their income and their consumption. If they are poor, their income, they consume everything that they earn. Okay, there's not much difference between the value of income and consumption of the poor, but it should be big difference if they are richer and richer. Okay, because there is something that we call saving. Okay, and normally people declare or inform only their consumption, not their income, when they do the survey. Okay, one of the difficulty, especially in case that people is richer and richer, most they would remember and they declare normally the consumption, the value of the consumption, not the value of their whole income. So that means there could be the bias. Okay, is not exact. Okay, report about the poverty situation in these countries. Another thing, you know that if you I want to say that if you do the survey by yourself and you collect the data from the markets, okay, you could get some more exact database. Comparing with the case that you use, okay, the national account, that means the database has been built by other people, I mean the secondary database. Okay, here survey, you got primary database, national account, okay, report, or the database that has been built by other people before, that means secondary database. Okay, and secondary database normally that is not updated, okay, than the survey if you do it by yourself. The number of poor people seem to be much fewer. Why so? Because if you do the national, you check the national account, okay, sometimes it could be not updated. Okay, it's not exact number, the database, comparing with the way that you do the survey by yourself. So what's so bad about inequality? It's same income inequality lead to inefficiency. Lack of access to credit lead to under-financing of good productive opportunity. Sometimes someone would like to be rich, would like to create the value to everyone, but he doesn't have money. Okay, if he could access to some financial assistance, that is, a kind of microfinance. Okay, sorry. Bạn. Dạ, em đây ạ. Alo, em xuống qua nhé. Dạ vâng, em thử nói 15 giờ ạ. Các bạn giải lao một chút nhé, thầy về họp một chút liên quan tới việc là sắp tới là có tuyển dụng thêm trợ giảng hay không. Bây giờ các bạn có ai chuẩn bị ra trường làm trợ giảng này? Trợ giảng thì cố gắng xin trợ giảng về cái môn gì mà dạy nhiều lớp vào nhé. 15 minutes.